Hello, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are listening to Ticket to Life. And I am Henry, and I am your host. I hope that everyone's been having a great week so far. And if not, tomorrow's another day. I'd like to thank everyone. And if you don't know, or if it's first time for you to hear the Ticket to Life, I'm Henry again, as I said. And I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. It's about life. It's about anything and everything. And for those of you who do not know that I am here in Texas, and we have had some crazy weather for spring. And we're in June now, which is even crazier because we're supposed to get more rain today. But and it's amazing how much Texas, we get rain, but not as much as we have gotten in the end of April and May. It was like rain. I mean, we were in gray skies most of the month of May, but we survived. And I just need to let you know that if you have never visited Texas, you will love my state. It is a great state, but I just need for you to know also you will never need a light sweater during the summer. It's hot. It's not real humid. Of course, it matters where you're at. In Houston, it's very humid. Galveston, of course, it's coast. I'll be going to Galveston this month with 12 other ladies that I used to work for a school, and we have kept our connection. I've known most of them for almost 20 years, which is crazy. But anyway, good all age groups. I think the youngest one is in her 30s. Yeah, I think. And then all the way up to 68. I'm 66. I'm not 68 yet, but I will be soon. But anyway, and after all these rain showers we've had, it's going to be really nice to go to the coast. But the one thing we do have, well, most states, all states have them, not most states, all states have them, are mosquitoes. You know, those blood-sucking mosquitoes are just everywhere after rains. We have been fortunate because it's rained so much. We haven't had that problem, but I'm sure as soon as it starts to dry off, we will have those. And I just have a few little tidbits of fun facts about mosquitoes that I started looking into about why we get bitten. Well, of course, you know, they survive on eating our, sucking our blood. As my granddaughter said, she says, Ita. She calls me Ita. It's short for Lita. That's short for abuelita. But anyway, so she said, Ita, they don't bite you. They suck your blood. And I thought, okay, thank you, 5-year-old, for really refreshing my memory. But anyway, they're apparently, mosquitoes are connoisseurs of blood taste. Who knew that? They prefer type O, and I've looked all this up. Research is showing that that's their number one bottle of blood, not wine, is type O. Now, they're not big fans of type A. So if you have type A, you're still going to get bitten if they can't find an O. And type B, which is me, B positive, of course, that's me, B positive, comes in second. So if you do visit and you're type O and if you're by the lakes or something, you better do something to take care of yourself, because mosquito bites, oh gosh, they can be so irritating. You hear that little zzz, you can hear it in your ear, you know, like when a bee flies by and you don't see them because they're small. Oh, and then when you mash them on your arm and then all that blood, and then you know it's your blood. But anyway, so I'm sure you all really wanted to know this. But anyway, it's interesting. And like I said, I like finding stuff out. I'm always Googling something. But anyway, and of course I would hope everyone knows they do carry some diseases. So be cautious when out, especially during the summer. Another fun fact is what attracts them is our breath. But I did know this. The carbon dioxide that exhales in our breath is what attracts them. And I think it's pretty interesting, right? So, yes, they may like you more because of your breath. So some foods actually help repel them, such as citrus fruits, grapefruits, lemons, garlic. I saw a Dr. Oz once, and there was a lady there, and she says green grapes, but it says that they don't always work. So, you know, the only thing is if you have garlic and onions and lemons, lemons maybe not, but they're going to ward off some of the bad spirits around you with all that garlic. But the mosquitoes are not fond of, guess, of the smell. And there are other foods, but this podcast is not going to be about mosquitoes. But one more thing is if you do go on a date and you knew you were going to be out somewhere, I highly recommend that you get some spray mosquito repellent, because if you're eating garlic or onions, more than likely you are not going to be getting a kiss or going home with someone. And we know that you need to, normally, I would think, at least in my life, kiss. And what kissing leads to can make a baby. So if you're wanting to do that, make sure you're not going out on a date that night. I know I'm just rambling here, but anyway. So if kissing leads to baby making, which it does, which leads us to the topic for grandparents. But before we become grandparents, you know what we have to do. Congratulations, you're having a baby. So now have had hopefully enjoyed your life because now you're having a baby. And I said that as in past tense. You had a baby, you're going to have a baby, maybe some of you right now, and you're like, oh, I know my mom and my dad are going to be the best grandparents. Are they? Were you really happy the way they raised you? Hopefully you are. I think my kids are happy with the way I raised them because they came out to be pretty good people. But just to let you know, after having that baby and you leave the hospital, or if you have the baby at home or with a midwife or a doula, the baby is all yours to raise and love. And hopefully, if everything goes well, your baby will be grown up before you know it, and you'll be boo-hoo-hooing that they're leaving. And my whole thing is they never tell you when you have these little babies that you get to love, that they're going to grow up and leave. Or at least you hope they grow up and leave, go to college, and start their life. But it is interesting because it's easy for parents to say, oh, I can't wait to be a grandparent. And you hear this all the time. Because I get to watch my grandchildren and then they leave. Do they? Not all the time. Some people have to move in with their family because it is so expensive. We went to Costco, and I have 3 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters in Kansas that are here for a month here, and then a grandson. So our grandson is only 8 months old, and we went to Costco to go get some formula. Well, we went for other stuff, and we told him we'd pick up formula. Over $100 for 4 things of formula. So if you don't nurse, if you plan not to nurse, that's fine. Every woman has that right to choose. It works for some. It doesn't for some. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It's your life. But back to the formula. So we went to get it, and it was over $100. We were like, wait, what? That is crazy. Crazy. But it has all the nutrients, and they don't grow a third eye or anything for people who think that you should just nurse. But anyway. So we picked that up, and it's very pricey having a baby. So as a grandparent, it can be pricey too. No, we did not buy it. We bought it for them, but they paid us back. So people are like, oh, well, you spoil your kids. No, we don't. We let them pay for their baby food. But anyway, it is crazy because, the kids come, and grandparents are always saying, oh, yeah, I love them because they come to visit, and then they go home. And again, it is such a joy being a grandparent. It is a joy, but it is exhausting because remember, you're probably 20 years older or 15 years older, even 10 years older than when you first had, hopefully older than 10 years, but than when you had your baby. So any teen moms out there, that's great. I don't want to offend anyone listening. If you're a teen mom, good for you that you're raising your baby. I applaud you because it is tough being a parent. It's tough being a single parent. But then you have the grandparents, and you love your parents with all your heart because they raised you, they loved you, they provided for you. But then comes the advice. Now that's really hard because you have decided you want to raise your baby a certain way. Well, we as grandparents, I'm sure my son and daughter can vouch for this, will say, yeah, she gives us advice because I do. But I have learned to kind of tweak it the way I say it because back in the day, so when I say that, I'm talking about the 80s. Back then, when you were a parent, you had made, all I had were books. I would look up books. Now you have Dr. Google. So we, speaking for most grandparents, we didn't have that. So Dr. Google is there, or Google is, I Google it everything. I'm always like, oh, let me Google it. I will Google it. I'm always, so it's such a convenience to have Google or any kind of internet server or whatever to find things. It's just interesting, not server. But so if you are a grandparent, and the hardest thing for a parent will be biting your tongue when your parent is giving you advice. This is where you have to pick your battles. So this is how I did it. It was tough, and it still is for me not to give advice. But they get a chuckle when they may tell me something about my grandkids, and I'm like, well, my kids didn't do that, because they are my kids, and they ha ha ha. So yes, I am guilty of that, but I must say that it is easier for me to say that, hey, you know what you could do instead of what you should do. Because I used to always say, you know what you should do? And that is making such a difference. And when you say, hey, you know what you could do? Grown kids hate hearing should do. I will tell you, they hate it. My kids hate it. So it's amazing how these two words can change the response from your adult child by saying what you could do, because you're suggesting it. When you say should, they're like, oh, this is what you have to do. This is probably what they hear. So do you have a parent that does this now? Always saying, this is what you should do, or this is what you have to do. Now, for my daughter and my daughter-in-law, if I slip, they are kind and might say okay, and I might try to change it, but it might be too late. So they are very considerate. If you think that parenting is hard, it isn't as easy for grandparents. People are like, oh yeah, grandparents are an easy street. It's easy for them. They don't have to raise them. But if you spend a lot of time, you are helping raise them. And why is it hard for grandparents? It's hard because you have to know when to keep your opinions to yourself. And I am talking about myself. I am all about opinions. That, trust me, I am sure that my kids and many others don't want to hear my opinions. But hey, I have so much to say. That's why I started a podcast. So I'm talking to myself in this mic. My friend Mike will listen to me. But we have to learn to be flexible, and it is tough. It really is. It's tough. We do, as grandparents, have to be flexible. So if you want them to come and visit and want them at a certain time and they are running late, just remember when you had kids. Well, I was always on time. Yeah, it was a different time too. When they have kids for a certain amount of time, they will get on a certain schedule. Don't forget, when they come to your house, they're just not coming with baby in a diaper bag anymore. Usually they're coming with the carrier, the car seat, the pack and play. But luckily for me, oh my gosh, my husband and I were lucky and were able to purchase a pack and play at the right time before our first granddaughter was born. And she's 5 now. And we have used it for the 2 girls, and now we're using it for our grandson. So definitely a good investment back in the day for $25 at Target. And it was it's a great pack and play. But anyway, again, that was many years ago. So just a hint, we try to have things here that we know they might need. So we usually try to have some diapers here and wipes and one extra outfit, some formula, we have bottles. But now maybe we're making their life too easy, but it's funny. It just makes it easier for them in case they forget something. We have a stroller, you name it, we got it. But some people don't want to do that, and that's fine. That's just what we do. I just do it for convenience for them. But I do get it. They usually have to bring extra stuff, and that's how it is. But I get that things have just changed so much in so many years. So many years. And since I was growing up, it's really changed. And that was really many moons ago. And again, so much has changed from when our kids were little. So grandparents, we got to stick together, but we do have to put ourselves where they are. What were we doing? How were we handling it? May not be the best thing for their family. So if you want to see your grandkids, then we have to try our best to mind our own business. Yes, I said it, folks. We need to try to mind our own business. Now, if kids bring their business into your life, it could be a mistake, or it's because they really want to chat with you or they're comfortable in telling you stuff. And luckily, my kids are, I'm sure they don't tell me everything. I don't want to know everything, but they are pretty open and talk to us about their family life. Again, sometimes this is hard for them. And for us, it's hard to, giving this advice isn't always the best thing for our relationship with our kids. Sometimes if you want to have that closeness and you want your kids to come visit, bite your tongue. I know that's hard. Or play the drinking game. And anytime you want to give advice, take a shot of something. Mom, are you okay? I'm fine. Trust me, by the end of the visit, you'll agree with anything and everything your kids want to do. So I'm just kidding about the drinking game. I don't think your grandkids need to see you all not snockered and crazy. But anyway, the other thing is a birthing order. How many of you have always heard that the firstborn is like everyone's favorite? I have. There were 4 of us in my family. There's my older sister, my brother, then my sister, who's the middle child. That's what she always says. Well, I guess she's the middle girl. And then myself. Okay, between my older sister, the oldest, and my brother, 3 and 4, my sister and I, we were chopped liver. You know, I can understand by 3 and 4, you're done. No, we weren't. My parents were so awesome. I'm just kidding about being chopped liver. Our parents were so awesome that my birthday is actually on the 27th of December. And so it's 2 days after Christmas. I just think my poor mom being pregnant during Christmas with 3 other kids. But it was amazing because my mom always made sure to celebrate my birthday, no matter how close. Because you always hear a lot of people say, well, my birthday's, the day before Christmas or Christmas Eve or, the week before Christmas. So I just get all my gifts at once. No, my mom made sure to make it special that was my birthday, not Jesus' birthday. I mean, we always celebrated Jesus' birthday, but we just to have that separation because the other 3 would have a birthday. So that was the awesome thing. My parents were just awesome. And, but you can't, if you favor one of your grandchildren, don't let everyone know. Oh, well, they're my favorite because they're the oldest. Oh, they're my favorite because they're the youngest. Oh, he's the only boy. That's what people do. And then people are like, oh, well, there's the middle. Well, she needs extra attention or he does because that's what people do. That you cannot favor people. You cannot favor your children. You cannot favor your grandchildren. And of course, again, these are only my opinions because kids know. They will sense that you are favoring that oldest or the youngest or the middle or the only girl or the only boy. Out of 5 girls, there's 1 boy, or 5 boys and there's 1 girl. They will know. Your kids will know. And you can't tell kids, oh, you know what, you're my favorite, but don't tell your siblings because they're going to say something. But anyway, it's very important, in my opinion, that we don't favor anyone. I have a daughter, I have a son. Do I love them the same? Yes, I do. Do I love them differently? Yes, I do. And had I had 2 sons, I would have loved them differently because they are 2 individuals. If I would have had 2 daughters, I would have loved them the same, but differently. Two individuals. That's what you always have to remember, that each person is different. They're not alike. And thank God we're all not alike. We'd be walking little zombies. So, anyway, and another keynote, it's really early, but I'm going to start planting the seeds. So maybe my kids, they don't really hear my podcast, I don't think. But anyway, September 8th this year is Grandparents' Day. You're going to hear that for the next few months. But anyway, here are some things for those of you who are listening that are having problems with your parents. Now, it's not that your parents don't love you. Some parents just don't know when to stop, and they're always giving opinions. So, also, my granddaughter's asleep right now. So if you hear some crying or something, she's 2 and taking her nap. So if you hear crying, and I will not edit that because this is just life. So anyway, so one of the things I think is you have to practice acceptance of what your parents say. I'm not telling you have to do what your parents or the grandparents are telling you to do. Just accept it, nod cordially, and pick your battles. Is it going to be worth saying, but mother, I don't want to do that, or dad, that's not how we do things? Just say, oh, okay. Trust me, it is so worth it, because you might need them to go out on a hot date, and you may need them to watch your kids. And the other thing is, if you don't want your grandparents, this is very important. If you don't want your grandparents to feed them junk, because we have a tendency as grandparents to give them certain things that they're not allowed, ask your kids first. Is it okay if they have one? Don't do it in a secret, because if you give them mounds of chocolate and then they pick them up and they're bouncing, more than likely they're going to know that you gave them candy or sugar upon sugar. But I think we all know that's not healthy anyway. If it's not healthy for us, how is it going to be healthy for kids? But to me, that's one of the things. Practice the acceptance. And grandparents, if your kids don't want to hear what you have to say, you know what? Take a deep breath and walk off. Go have a shot of liquor. No, I'm just kidding. No, just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, because they are adults. And they may make mistakes, more than likely, like we did as parents. And when they do, more than likely, they're going to pick up the phone and call you and say, oh, you're not going to believe what I did. And please don't say I told you so, grandparents. Please. But anyway, next is parents need to set their boundaries. But make sure that they're not going to come back and bite you in the butt. Because you could set boundaries with your parents. And you have to remember, your parents are adults. They know right from wrong. And that's just the way it is. I mean, Mom, don't let them go outside. Okay. And if they don't want to go outside, maybe they have allergies. Maybe they want to be able to pick them up and not have them all slimy and dirty to go home and give a bath. I don't know. But set your boundaries. Grandparents have got to understand it is hard raising a kid, because if you've already had kids, if you're a grandparent, yes, you have had children. It's hard to keep your mouth shut and say, that's not what I did. Because I have caught myself, again, saying stuff like that. So as grandparents, we need to know they are setting their boundaries for their children, and we have to accept them. And yes, you might bend the rules a little, but you know what? We all have cell phones now, and everyone doesn't leave the house without them. Text them and say, I'm going to take them out. We're going to go check the mail and come back. Just something, because who wants to be cooped up in a house? I don't. Of course, if you have a pool, no, do not let your grandchildren outside. Even if they're professional swimmers, do not let them out. You have to be with your kids. If there is a pool, or you're near a lake or a pond, you stay with your grandchildren. But when I was a kid, I used to always go by the lake. No, that's not how it is anymore. We have learned that most casualties with drowning are when parents or grandparents or even family friends or family members, they're right there, and a drowning could occur. You can just turn your back, and all of a sudden they're gone. They're under. So please, if you do have a pool, you as a parent and grandparent need to be smart enough. Do not let the children out by themselves, even if they know how to swim. Someone always has to be. We have a camera for our backyard. It will go off when someone's back there. So that's the good thing. But our girls are pretty good swimmers. They're swimming, the 2-year-old and the 5-year-old. So, but still, I don't trust them outside. I don't trust them to be near the pool by themselves. One of us has to be out there. Anyway, back to that. And then probably the last thing is to consider for you, consider the reasons they might be. This is for the parents. Consider why your parents are doing something different than they did with you as a child. Now, some parents, grandparents, shall I say, some grandparents actually regret the way they raised their children. Or they weren't around because they were working, they didn't have time, and now they want to spend an abundance of time with their grandkids. And they're letting the kids pretty much get away with murder in the house. And think, well, I didn't get to do that. Why are you letting my kids do that? Things are different when you are a grandparent. You don't want to be as strict. And some grandparents did not have that loving household. So they tried to pass on a loving household to you to develop your family to be awesome. And now they are trying to instill what they didn't have as children to be passed on with good thoughts, to be kind, to love them no matter what. I know this is really kind of off the wall, but it is. It's very important. You have to think of what your parents went through as a child. Hopefully they had a great childhood, and then they helped you have a great childhood, and so on and so on and so on, and passed on through generations. But again, grandparenting is the best. It's exhausting, but so worth it. Like I said, my grandkids, the 2 girls, are here for a month. We're excited. We're exhausted, but I wouldn't have it any other way. God is so good and has blessed us so much. So this is Henry. Until next week, I cannot wait to see you again. You can hear me on any podcast platform. You can hear me in Atlanta on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on 99.1 FM Straight Talk Radio. And please go find your blessings. More than likely, they are your grandchildren.